afternoon, South Africa. Thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to Afternoon Express. We are live right here on SABC3. I'm Bonang Mateba.
And I'm Bonnie Mbuli. Happy Tuesday. I hope that you're sitting tight and cozy because today's episode is going to have you glued to your seats.
Absolutely. Today we're dedicating most of the show to a very controversial industry that has been the center of debate all across the globe. Talking about hydraulic fracturing or fracking involves the extraction of natural gas from deep underground. I'm sure you've heard the term fracking flying all through the media. Don't know what it is? Well, we're going to explain it to you today. Very important, so make sure you don't go anywhere.
Definitely. And joining us to talk about the pros and cons of fracking, as well as to shed some light on the industry as a whole, we have a few experts joining us. We're joined by free market columnist and author Ivo Vegter, as well as the CEO of Treasure Karoo Action Group and environmental advocate Jonathan Deal, who've both been very outspoken in the media with regards to their viewpoints for or against fracking. But if things are getting a bit too heated in here, we have Jeannie in the kitchen.
Oh, wow, and it's going to get just as hot in here, I tell you. Hello, South Africa. I'm Jeannie D. Today, we have one of our first installments of our first SA Woman series, and we're going to be chatting to an amazing woman called M'lani Bosson, and she's been helping children with emotional or physical trauma in dealing with horses, equine therapy. It's going to be a beautiful, very, very heartwarming story. And then in the kitchen, we have South Africa's most celebrated chef, owner of the Taste Kitchen and the Potluck Club, Luke Dale Roberts. Welcome.
How are you doing? Nice
so
to see
good,
you.
thank you. I cannot believe what we are going to be making today because basically my diet is going so far out of the window today. This looks incredible. What is it?
It's salted caramel popcorn with honeycomb.
Oh my goodness. Remember, if you want to cook with us, remember to visit our website, afternoonexpress.co.za, and we have this exact recipe with all of the ingredients listed right there so that you can make it right now with us. We're also going to be making burgers a little bit later. That's going to be delicious. But for now, let's see who's on our couch up first with fracking.
Make sure that you call us, you tweet us, do what you need to do. We are live. That number is 083-913-3278 at Afternoon Chat, and use our official hashtag Afternoon Express. I'm more than certain we're going to have thousands of questions streaming in because today's show is going to be very heated. But before we get started, I'm sure many of you at home are dying to find out who won that 1,000 Rand Woolies voucher from last week. It's our absolute pleasure to announce that the winner of last week's Go Green SMS competition is Susan Sutton from Valeria in Pretoria. Congratulations. We really hope you treat yourself to something special. Now, today we explore the fascinating and very controversial industry of fracking. Joining us on the couch is independent journalist, author and writer of many columns on shale gas drilling and hydraulic fracturing, Ivo Vegter. Ivo has examined the issue from all sides, and he's here to shed some light on the world of hydraulic fracturing or fracking, I beg your pardon, which most of us have heard about in the news at some point, but very few of us actually understand. Ivo, lovely to have you. Welcome to Afternoon Express. And before, you are here obviously to set the tone for today's discussion. Before we go anywhere, we do have a video of hydraulic fracturing, of fracking. Okay. What exactly is it and what is the process?
Well, basically this is the process of drilling wells that go roughly about 3 or 4 kilometers deep, right, if we talk about the South African situation. Now, what happens there, you've got a layer of rock called shale. Right. Now that is really the origin of all the gas and oil that they've usually been able to drill out of little bubbles in the or reservoirs, much closer to the surface. So they drill this down and they sleeve the well a number of times actually, probably about three or four times on the way down. Then they put that under pressure. They crack the shale, and that allows the gas to flow back out. Right, now, the process that you just saw on the screen was when they sleeve the well, they got the 5 centimeter thick sort of steel tubing that goes down in order to protect the water aquifers and so forth. Right. Here you can see where the conventional gas on the left and conventional oil on the right would be found, with the shale layer right at the bottom.
Oh, I see.
And that actually crops out in the mountains in the Southern Cape Fold Belt. Right. But in the Karoo, which is where they're interested in, it lies at about 4 kilometers depth, which is at least 8 or 10 times as deep as the deepest water aquifers
All right. And obviously we're drilling, going underground to try and extract the shale gas.
Correct.
But what exactly is shale gas?
Well, it's basically a gas that sits in this rock. I mean, the rock is obviously formed by many years of plant material and by biological material, right, that sort of decays and then forms in sedimentary layers. Right? So that comes from millions of years ago. Now, shale is the source, and in fact, the shale deposit is probably about 100 times bigger than all of the oil and gas that we actually know.
Wow.
That filters up towards the top. Right? So all of what we know so far, right, originally comes from shale. Right? So that's where they're going, and they find gas and oil in the shale, depending on the sort of temperatures at which it was formed and so on.
And you mentioned the Karoo, and I saw the diagram and the video there, and there's a lot of water that's obviously needed, and we obviously have a very tight supply of water, especially in the Karoo. Isn't that a problem?
We do. It is a problem, and it's certainly a problem that they need to look at very carefully.
Okay.
To put it in perspective, the golf courses in South Africa. Right, all of the golf courses put together, if you used all of that water, right, to frack wells, you'd frack about 15,000 wells, right,
Sure.
which is a lot of. If you took that water once off, right, from the Hendrik Verwoerd, so what used to be called the Hendrik Verwoerd Dam, the Geriep Dam, which is the largest dam in South Africa, you need about 3% of the dam's quantity, right, in total. Now, in the Karoo, underneath the Karoo, there are huge water aquifers. Right? We don't know exactly how big, because one of the things we need to do there is go and explore, drill some holes and see what's there. But we know from geophysical surveys that there are huge reserves under the Karoo. Right? Now, they can use some of that water that comes from very deep, which is kind of salty and undrinkable and not good for anything. They could use that to frack their wells, to fracture their wells. They could use seawater, if they can pipe that in or get that in by tanker. So there's a number of possibilities of where they could get water, where it wouldn't compete with South Africa's population, and in particular the population of the Karoo.
Yeah, and talking about the population, I mean, what are some of the benefits of fracking, and what has the government said about fracking in general?
Well, like with anything, economic forecasting is always difficult, right? The forecasts that we have are very positive, right? It says anything from 200 billion to several trillion that it could add to our GDP. And it talks about hundreds of thousands of jobs being created. Right? The real question is where they're going to be created, whether the price of gas, by the time they do get it out of the ground, whether the price of gas is going to be strong enough. Now, these are all questions that need to be answered during exploration.
Yeah, and I want to ask you so many, but I need to go to a commercial break right now because, there's also rumors about them bringing foreigners to drill. I want to talk about job creation. I want to talk about extreme environment, which is a book you've also written regarding today's topic. But if you have any questions for any of our guests, make sure that you tweet us and you call us right now. But after the break, Bonnie makes us some Jeannie, I beg your pardon, makes us some juicy beefsteak burgers, and we chat to environmental advocate Jonathan Deal. And we'll also be revealing this week's Go Green SMS question. Don't forget, if you have any questions, our number 083 913 3728. Sit tight, don't move. It's SABC3.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express, and now we are starting off in the kitchen with juicy burgers. And here to cook with me is Kelly McMillan, the product developer of Woolworths Food. So welcome. Thank you so much for teaching me how to make possibly one of the best meals ever. Whoever invented the burger is a genius.
I quite agree. Today's recipe is really easy, so anyone can do it.
Great.
As you said, we're going to be using these lovely beef steaklets, and we're going to be making hamburgers.
Now, this is quite amazing, because when I looked at this just now, I thought like a chicken schnitzel.
Yeah.
And I thought that would have been nice in a burger, but it's actually beef.
This is beef. It's actually part of the meal deal that's on at Woolies at the moment.
Okay.
And there are chicken schnitzels as an option as well. So if you prefer chicken, then go on and get those as well.
Delish. Okay, so what have we done so far, and what do we still have to do?
So we're going to just start by popping these onto the tray, and we're going to get these into the oven. So they need to be in there for about 10 to 15 minutes just to bake, to get a lovely golden crisp on them. So let me just finish popping those out.
Nice
there
and
we
easy.
go. Yep. There we go, and those are
Okay.
ready to go in the oven.
I'll do that.
Fantastic,
And then what
thanks.
else? What have we already done?
And we're going to be pairing that today with those delicious paprika potato wedges, which are also already in the oven, getting lovely and juicy. And,
Yeah, they're in there.
And then what we're going to be doing today as well is we're going to be pairing that with a little sriracha mayo dip. So sriracha is this fantastic chili sauce that originated in Thailand and is really trending all over the world.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be adding a little bit of extra spice to those paprika wedges. You can also obviously put that onto the burger if you really fancy something really lovely and spicy. And then to accompany that, because it's still wintry, we're having a lovely warm salad today. So we've taken some exotic tomato mix. We just roasted that in the oven until they've blistered. So in the meanwhile, maybe Jeannie, if you wouldn't mind just popping those into the bowl for us.
Perfect.
And I'm going to start off here with the
And I
sriracha
like
mayo.
that you've used a selection of tomatoes as well.
Yes, so those are all different varietals. So that's what's really nice about it. So you can see there's some that are a green color and the yellow and the red, and it makes it really visually pretty.
And do they have like different flavors as well?
They do, most definitely, and it's obviously got to do with where they're grown and the soil conditions, etc., that give them that lovely flavor.
Delish.
And here we go. We're just going to mix
tomatoes
this sriracha. We've taken some French style mayo, which is really lovely and creamy, and we've mixed that in there.
Yeah, this stuff is delicious.
It is amazing, and it's, you know, you can use it on anything, and people are using it as a substitute for salad dressing these days and all sorts of things. So there we go. That's really quick and easy. And then what we're going to do in our salad as well is I've taken this lovely bocconcini, which is small little mozzarella balls. We've sliced them already, and what we're going to do there is we're just going to start adding those into the salad as well. So we'll just place a couple of those on the top, just like that. And then what we'll do is we'll drizzle some olive oil over the top of
I'll do
this.
that
Yeah,
for you.
go for it. That's great. Thanks.
Can never have too much olive oil.
No, you can't. And then just for a lovely bit of vibrant colour, we're using these lovely fresh basil leaves today.
I'm going to break some up in
Please,
there
if you
for
could tear those off. So it's almost like a different version of a caprese salad, really.
Yeah.
And alternatively, if you don't fancy the olive oil, you can obviously use your favourite salad dressing just to dress on top there.
A little bit of balsamic vinaigrette. would go
Absolutely.
I've
Perfectly.
learned so
Yeah,
much
there we
in this
go.
kitchen since the start of the show.
Perfect. And then we've got our lovely, we call these the Woolworths Our Ultimate Hamburger Rolls. They're really lovely and big, so they're going to hold all that juicy filling really well. And we just toasted them to give them a lovely golden colour on the inside. And so we'll be using those to house all these yummy deliciousness of the burger today.
Yummy.
And then lastly, what we've done instead of using lettuce leaves is we've taken a little bit of red cabbage and finely sliced it, and that we'll put onto the burger. It'll give it that lovely crunch, and also it's a nice colour difference on a burger is to have some red cabbage there.
Perfect.
Great. So what we can start to do, I'm just going to come around here and grab the board, and
Go
then we
for
can
it.
start.
Yeah, I
plating
think
up our
my
burgers.
salad is almost complete right now.
Great, and
How's
maybe
that? Must I
perfect.
mush
Give
it
it
up?
yeah. There's a spoon there to give it a little bit of a toss. Go. That looks great.
Oh, and all the juiciness from these tomatoes.
Absolutely.
It's going to be coming through here. And nothing smells as nice as this basil.
It's beautiful. It's
Delicious.
basil,
There you go. Well, thank
Lovely.
you so much. So we're just going to build our burgers.
We are.
And if you want to make them as well, remember the recipes are on our website, afternoonexpress.co.za. But for now, we've got Bonan on our couch.
Thank you so much, darling. Now, ladies and gents, like we said earlier on today, today's topic has been the center of debates all across the globe. The fracking industry has received an incredible amount of criticism with regards to its negative impact on the environment and communities of the areas affected. Now, joining us in the loft is the man at the forefront of the fight against fracking in South Africa. It is an honor to have in our loft the CEO of Treasure Karoo Action Group, Goldman Environmental Prize winner, and African patriot, Jonathan Deal. Welcome to Afternoon Express.
Thank you, Bonan.
Lovely to finally meet you. You consider yourself an African patriot, but where did your love to want to protect, Africa and the global environment begin?
It started very simply when I grew up on a farm in Gauteng as a young boy, and probably developed over the time that I spent in Africa and was able to travel in and around and across most of Africa. But I think it's really cemented itself in the last few years when, as an adult with a bit of time to think and understand what's going on around me, I've started understanding this unsustainability of what we do to this planet.
Let's talk about that planet and the anti-fracking campaign and why you joined it and when you did join it.
I became involved in it almost by default on reading of the plans of a well-known international oil company to drill and frack in South Africa.
And early in 2011, they were talking very arrogantly about their move into South Africa and saying, when we start drilling, that's where we will be drilling, and this is what we will be doing. And I thought, well, nobody's actually asked South Africans how we feel about this. And based on what I read in America, I wasn't sure that it was a good idea for South Africa.
All right. And is that when you decided, obviously, the Karoo Action Group? What does the group do exactly?
We're an advocacy group. We started off certainly more as environmental activists because it was the response that was required in 2011. The debate has now matured, the players are well established, and the impacts of fracking around the world are well documented. It now provides a space for us to become more an advocacy group, and on the other hand, we're also very firmly pursuing the legal avenues, should they be necessary in this country, to stop fracking.
Let's talk about the results, you know, all around the world. I mean, South Africa is not the first country to consider fracking. What have been the results in all the other countries that are practicing, you know, hydraulic fracturing?
I think that, and in my considered opinion, fracking is a resounding failure around the world. It is becoming internationally a pariah of a technology. There are many more documented instances of water and air pollution, effects on the health of receiving communities, damage to the environment, and those are issues that come right home to South Africa. Our environment here, particularly water, is a very big issue in this country, and one of your previous guests, Mr. Vegter, talked about questions that need to be answered. Indeed, there is no 3% of the Geriep Dam to be allocated. We are running into big water problems in this country. So those are some of the critical questions.
Yeah, you've answered my next question in, you know, the negative impact that fracking has. But what is the impact on just a normal South African like myself?
I think that it would take longer for the impact to be measured in the cities. I have had the opportunity to tour America and visit fracking sites around a number of states, and some of them overtly and some of them covertly. And the receiving communities, the people that are near to that in the close towns and villages, certainly feel the impact immediately. There's a little bit of an upturn in economic activity, but there's an enormous amount of disruption on their roads, their traffic, their law enforcement. We had mothers telling us that they have teenage daughters who are falling for the Texans and the Oklahomans that come and do the drilling there.
Oh, so they are bringing in foreigners.
It's even in America. A lot of the jobs in Pennsylvania are for Texans and people from Oklahoma who are experienced drillers. So you have a typical situation where you have working men earning money away from home and local and small communities.
Let's talk about those local and small communities and the impact that it would have on landowners. What does it mean then for them?
Well, I'm not as concerned about the impact on the individual landowner as I am concerned on the collective impact on agriculture and tourism, for instance. Agriculture and fracking cannot work side by side. Despite the photographs that some of the oil companies will show in their glossy brochures, those are not two activities that are friends. Tourism also. Our country has a very unique tourism offering, and that is particularly to do with our nature, with our plants, with the wide open spaces, with the specific cultures in this country. And oil and gas drilling, as much as the Americans and other countries might have embraced that in the past, is not something that we should be embracing here, especially if one looks at the elephant in the room, which is climate change.
All right. And let's talk about climate change and its impact. You know, I mean, fracking and how it kind of has an impact on climate change. What happens? What are the causes? What are the results? You know.
Well, one of the legs on which the oil and gas industry, I like to think, beguiles our leaders, our political leaders, into making energy policies, is that they will say that fracking is that much cleaner than coal. Now, even were it that much cleaner than coal, let's be realistic, and even if it took 10 to 20 years to migrate completely to shale gas as an energy source in this country, this government is not going to close the coal mines. It's not going to leave billions and trillions of tons of coal buried under the ground. It will still be mined, it will be exported, and it will be burned in countries where they don't have shale gas. And seeing we all share a common environment and a common global platform, that pollution will come around to South Africa eventually again.
Yeah. Well, Jonathan, I have so many questions for you, especially, you know, for people living in the city who want to be part of the Karoo Action Group, but I'll ask you that in a couple of moments. Thank you so much for coming through and giving us such incredible insight. But make sure you stick around, call us on 083-913 if you have any questions for any one of our guests, but make sure also that you enter our Go Green SMS competition to stand a chance to win a 1,000 Rands Woolies gift card to be entered into the door to get the ultimate grand prize. Our question for you this week is as follows. Fracking is a process used to extract which natural source? Is it A, gold, B, gas, C, aluminium? SMS the keyword Go Green, your name, city, and answer A, B, or C to 33728. Here's a reminder of that amazing grand prize. We'll be right back.
The Afternoon Express team is going green. Join us every Tuesday at 4 p.m. until September as we bring you the most innovative trends in sustainable fashion, food, decor and design, as well as handy tips to help you reduce your carbon footprint.
Answer our Go Green question every Tuesday and stand a chance to win a 1,000 Rand Woolies gift card every week.
Plus, simply by entering, you also go into the big draw for the ultimate grand prize worth over R500,000.
Including a dream sustainable kitchen makeover from Cordev, fitted with Bosch appliances with 300,000 Rand. Also, up to 250,000 Rand worth of home upgrades so you can live off the grid. Plus, food and homeware from Woolworths valued at 75,000 Rand. And a 25,000 Rand towards a school of your choice with My School.
So, go big, go green with Afternoon Express every Tuesday at 4 p.m. to win these amazing prizes.
Woolies and I collaborating to raise 100 million Rand through the My School program. Are you with us?
Welcome back to Afternoon Express on SABC3. Now, joining us as we discuss this highly debated subject of fracking are two filmmakers who've made documentaries on fracking and its environmental impact. Mira, Dutschke, who's a human rights researcher and film producer, made the documentary The High Cost of Cheap Gas, and Jolynn Minnaar created the documentary Unearthed. Welcome, both of you, to the loft. Awesome. Okay, so on your filming, in the filming process, what challenges did you encounter? Because I can imagine not everybody welcomed you with open arms.
Definitely. I think in addition to the usual challenges of independent filmmaking, and particularly with Unearthed, we refused any funding from anyone affiliated with the fracking debate, so that made it even more difficult. But I think it was on the ground in the United States was particularly challenging. Fracking is taking place in very rural areas that are quite hard to reach. There are a lot of foreign workers in the areas, and I think for me going there, I think I was hopelessly naive in retrospect. I shot the whole film on my own, and I was traveling through the States on my own. And I think that, you know, if I were to do the trip again, I'm not too sure if I'd be that bold.
Yeah.
Certainly some dangerous areas and some dangerous circumstances, also, you know, not the healthiest places, breathing in that toxic air, but definitely worth bringing the story back home.
Awesome. And yourself, Mira, what are some of the challenges you faced?
Like Jolynn has said, you know, getting funding for independent filmmaking is very difficult. But also, it's very difficult to access the information that you need to make a sound scientific judgment about where you actually stand. It was very difficult for us to get people from the industry to speak to us, and of course we want to know their point of view and hear their side of the argument, but it was very difficult to get them to speak to them. And also the other thing is that, you know, it's just there's not a lot of information out there about what's really going on. A lot of it is quite vague, it's not very exact, and so those were the main challenges I experienced.
Now, your research took you to Botswana. What findings did you make?
So in Botswana, we discovered that there were large areas, especially in environmentally protected areas, such as the Central Kalahari Game Reserve, the Transfrontier Park. You know, a lot of areas were slated for gas exploration. The kind of gas that they're looking for in Botswana is coal bed methane. It's almost the same as shale. The biggest difference is that the layer in which the coal sits sits around a bubble of water. So oftentimes you have to extract the water out of the ground in order to access the gas. And that extraction in the States has caused, in some areas, has caused the water levels, the underground water levels to drop by up to 30 meters. And so, of course, Botswana being a country that relies entirely on groundwater resources for its supply, you know, that kind of a drop could be potentially disastrous for the population in that country.
Your scientific research also took you as far as the Arctic and the savanna here in Africa. What did you find there?
Well, we visited the Arctic to find out more about the impact of methane on climate change. And what we discovered was that methane, even though it is cleaner when it is burnt on the point at the stove, if it is leaked into the air without being burnt, it is a much higher greenhouse gas than coal. So we discovered in America that a lot of these gas wells are likely to leak. We don't have a clear idea of how much of these gas wells are leaking, but I think it's up to 86 times more powerful greenhouse gas. So if there are leakages, and we're looking at up to 30,000 wells being built between, you know, I think it's 2011 and 2014, and even if it's a small percentage of leaks, those number of wells, it will be a massive amount of methane leaking into the air, and I think that will steal any kind of green pedigree that the industry would be able to claim otherwise.
Sure. Now, Jolynn, you have a particular interest in fracking in the Karoo. Can you tell us why?
My original interest was around the fact that I was from the Karoo. I grew up on a farm near Khwaafrenet. I've been working as a filmmaker and as a journalist in Cape Town, and I discovered the fracking issue back in 2011, and I didn't really understand what all the fuss was about. Being someone from the Karoo, I understand the area needs development, and I have a true a commitment to development in South Africa as well. And I thought that the environmentalists were making a big fuss of something that was proven by the companies interested to be relatively risk-free. You know, they've been doing this for 60 years. They've got a great track record. And I was able to go to the United States because someone got hold of me in Pennsylvania whose farm had been...
fracking has already taken place.
Right, exactly. Whose farm had been destroyed and their water being contaminated by the company seeking to drill in South Africa. Yeah. And that sparked a 5-month journey through the United States, finding out what's happening on the other side of the story.
Yeah. Both your films have received critical acclaim and awards, and in terms of the message getting out there. What next?
So for us, it's really important that we get the message out there to the people that live in the rural areas where the industry is likely to come into place. For us, it's very important that these people have the information and are informed on the risks that they're facing. So we are looking to take this movie to not only to the Karoo, where our director, Jeffrey Barbie, is currently screening the film in the Karoo, but we're also trying to get it out to Botswana and other areas, because, you know, in South Africa, there's a lot of focus on the Karoo, but there's other areas in South Africa where fracking has already taken place, and the communities that live around that area, they have no idea about what's happening. They have no idea how they can engage in the decision-making process around these operations, which is their constitutional right in this country.
Oh, thank you so much, ladies. Congratulations on both your films. It's really extraordinary work.
Thank you.
We'll continue the conversation a bit later on. Remember to call us on 083 913 3728 if you have any questions or comments for our experts. For now, let's join Jeannie in the kitchen with Luke Dale Roberts.
Thank you, Bonnie. Back in the kitchen with chef extraordinaire Luke Dale Robertson. We're about to make something so extraordinarily delicious. Remember, if you want the recipe for this or the shopping list, go to our website, afternoonexpress.co.za. Luke, so good to be in the kitchen with you. Not intimidating at all, considering you're basically the best chef in the world.
Please, man, please, nowhere near.
Well, actually, your restaurant was just voted 28th best restaurant in the world. So basically, that makes you the best chef in the world.
That's very exciting.
Congratulations.
Thank
okay,
you.
let's start cooking.
So yeah, this is the honeycomb popcorn. It's a very simple recipe using sugar. So I was asked to make a recipe using this plantation select sugar. And my son absolutely loves this. When he comes to the restaurant, he sneaks to the pastry department and he steals it from the pastry chef when she's not looking. And everyone loves it. And I see you've been nibbling away a little bit as well.
What do you mean?
So it's very simple.
Yeah.
Right.
How do we start?
Sugar.
Yeah.
I'm going to get this on.
So basically that's our replacement of sugar because it's got the same kind of taste as sugar, only it doesn't taste the natural flavour of anything that we're making today.
That's right, yeah. And it's extremely healthy and good for you. So sugar in, a little bit of honey, about a tablespoon of honey.
Why do we use honey and sugar?
So it just gives it that nice kind of rich, you know, honeycomby kind of taste. One of the guys was talking to me about the crunchy bars earlier on and how he couldn't find one, so we're going to actually be making our own little crunchy bars later.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you need help with?
Water. So it's very simple. And then we've got our popcorn, we've got sesame seeds, and we've got some toasted peanuts. If you can just take a little bit of that and just sprinkle it evenly over the tray.
What? Just the peanuts and the sesame seeds?
And the popcorn.
Okay.
Yeah. Start with anything. It's all much of a muchness. It all gets mixed up anyway.
Okay, what would you start with?
I would start with the popcorn.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so I'm just going to swap this. So we've got that's just going to start cooking down. In the meantime, I'm just going to swap that with one that's already been bubbling. Okay, maybe a little bit less than that.
Sure, chef. I'm quite stressed out because, I mean, you know, most chefs can be quite volatile. And are you one of those incredibly successful volatile chefs?
I'm not volatile, not usually. I'm pretty calm. Try and keep it on an even keel.
Everything runs smoothly in your kitchen?
Yeah, absolutely.
Your restaurants in Cape Town are incredibly amazing. There's Potluck Club, Test Kitchen, essentially the best restaurants you'll ever go to.
Great.
Okay, sesame seeds on.
So I've got multiple pots of caramel going here. Just in case one's not ready, I've got 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
This one here looks like it's almost ready. So the way to do it is you can put a temperature stick in there and see the exact temperature, or you just really need to look at the colour. So as it goes that deep, you can see this one here, it's gone that deep golden colour.
That looks gorgeous.
So I'm going to take this one here. Just as the bubbles start to subside a little bit, it'll start getting darker and you'll pick up that caramel smell coming through.
I've done this for you over here.
Perfect.
And I think it looks pretty good.
It looks
I mean,
good.
I'm almost ready to work for you.
Yeah, exactly. Get your CV in and we'll have a look at it.
I've got a lot of experience in TV cooking.
Okay. Well, that's very important.
It means that no actual cooking gets done by me.
Lots of eating.
Exactly.
Okay, you can see that now. That's starting to go a little bit that golden colour. You don't want it to go too far, otherwise it gets bitter.
And caramel isn't necessarily an easy thing to make, so you've got to watch it.
Yeah, exactly. It can crystallise. The sugar can crystallise. You have to be careful. You mustn't shake it around too much. So I'm going to put a little bit of salt in there because salt and caramel is excellent together. Not too much. And then this is the fun bit. This is the bicarb that goes in.
What does that make it do?
So this is the bicarbonate of soda. It makes it puff up like a honeycomb.
Great.
In that goes. Stir it around. There you see it's coming up. And that I'm going to pour.
Oh, that even just looks incredible. And this is what it's ultimately going to look like after that.
That's right.
Wow. And then do you drizzle the chocolate over that as well? Or is that purely
No,
just
that's a
for the
different thing.
honeycomb?
Okay, so that's the salted caramel popcorn with the honeycomb and all of that. And then that's going to just sit there and set, and then we'll break it up into pieces. Then you can sit in front of the TV and just munch on it like that.
Perfect.
And yeah, it's good for the whole family.
Luke, you're amazing. Thank you so much.
It's so easy. It's so easy.
After the break, we are back on the couch with our experts, and I'm going to be making my own crunchy bits. We'll be right back.
Salati Plantation Select adds subtle sweetness to toffees, caramel, bran muffins, or sprinkled into a spicy curry. Salati, always good, always sweet.
Welcome back. You're still watching Afternoon Express right here on SABC3. Now, we've spoken to both Jonathan and Ivor with regards to their standpoints on fracking, and we're continuing the conversation with both of them on the couch. And remember, if you have any questions or comments, then give us a call right now. We are live. That number is 083-913-3728. This is your last opportunity to join the conversation, so definitely, you don't want to miss out on that.
Awesome. Gentlemen, welcome back.
Thank you.
Is there no way that fracking can be carried out responsibly?
It certainly can. You know, my argument right from the start has been that a lot of the environmental threats are being exaggerated, right? Anything involves some risk, right? Now, the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency in the United States, has just released a study which is based on piles and piles of peer-reviewed science, 5-year study, and they found that there is no evidence of any sort of widespread or systematic groundwater pollution. You know, there are individual cases, right? And it's, when you go to the individual cases, of course, they're horrible. But I mean, it's like a car accident. You know, you're not going to ban cars just because a few car accidents look really, really bad. The European Union has also advised its member countries that it can be done and can be done safely. The UK, the Royal Society, did a study and said it can be done safely. And in fact, just yesterday I read that they are, the secretary there for energy and climate change wants to fast-track shale gas, including because it will help them reach their climate change goals.
Right.
You know, which and they've been trying with wind and renewable. I mean, you know, these are things are complementary quite often.
Yes.
But you need a mix of all of them. So yeah, it absolutely can be done safely.
Jolynn, I heard you clearing your throat there.
Any
Do
response
you have
to
a
that?
different view?
I do indeed. I think it's an absolute no-brainer that at this stage of the planet's climate warming or global warming scenario, that we should not be looking for additional and more fossil fuels. One of the greatest dangers of pursuing a new, so-called new fossil fuel like shale gas, also known, by the way, as extreme energy, because of the extreme amount of energy and risk that goes with it, is that it's going to push us far past or further past our global warming boundaries already. So if we extract the coal, as I said earlier, from the ground, it's going to keep on being burnt somewhere else. It's not going to make those changes. And in a country like South Africa, where we are so short of water, I was watching one of the inserts just now in the background where there was a picture or a clip of a lady fetching water with a bucket.
Yeah.
Mankind has survived for thousands of years without oil. We would not last 1 week without water.
It's true. And something that we did touch on with you when I had a conversation with both of you is, of course, job creation. And we do have a caller on the line. We're going to go to Pretoria. Busi, how are you? Welcome to Afternoon Express.
Hi.
Hi, Bonang. Hi, Bonnie.
Hi, how are you? Welcome.
Well, I have a comment around Karoo. I'm concerned with job creation around, since I believe we do not have qualified schools or rather qualified. And then my second comment is that I'm concerned with the communities around the Karoo, since they're the ones that be directly affected by the certain. And I believe they're not even aware what's going on, how they can voice out their concern on the thing, on ranking. So, yeah, that's
All
it.
right. Thank you very much, Busi. We really do appreciate that. Have a wonderful week further. Thank you so much for calling us. But I tried to touch on it with you, Ivor. We said, you know, that there's this rumor that with the drilling, they're going to bring in foreigners. And Jonathan did, you know, confirm that. Is it true that should the drilling happen, that it's going to not include South Africans at all, then no job creation will happen?
No, that's not true at all.
Okay.
And frankly, the statement that they're coming for your daughters is also probably a bit extreme. You know, yes, there will be specialists, you know, in any oil and gas project. There are always specialists in certain techniques and certain equipment, right? In drilling engineers that they will bring in. They travel all over the world, right? These guys get posted to wherever they happen to be working. But there's a lot of scope. Right from the top, you know, from geophysicists and geologists and hydrologists, all the way down to the guy that erects fences and, you know, the people who run hotels and you know, sell groceries. All the way down, there's a lot of scope for job creation and for training. And that's just the direct stuff. You know, to me, the far bigger influence is, you know, if we have an abundant supply of inexpensive and fairly clean energy, you know, this could really boost the South African economy. So throughout the economy, it'll make a huge difference. Right? And that's really where I see where the opportunities lie.
Now, considering the size of the Karoo and the amount of gas we could find that could boost our economy, is there no advantage to maybe selecting small areas?
That's a very interesting question on the amount of the gas. Because the people that have estimated the potential gas reserves in South Africa is the International Energy Agency, the Energy Information Administration in the United States, and the United States Geological Survey. And they have been roundly and resoundingly wrong on many, many locations in the United States. In January of 2012, President Obama stood up in his State of the Union address and said, "My country has a supply of natural gas that will last America almost 100 years. And my administration will make every effort to safely develop that resource." In October of 2013, what was reputed to be the golden goose of American energy, the Monterey Shale in California, with a reputed 18 billion barrels of shale oil, was slashed by 96%. South African shale gas reserves have been slashed from 485 trillion cubic feet by those same agencies to less than 30 TCF by our own scientists.
All right. But, you know, with that said, Jonathan, I mean, you have the Karoo Action Group, and what we're going to do for anybody that wants to partake in the group and, of course, support you and your movement, we're going to put all that information on our website, afternoonexpress.co.za.
Yeah.
But both gentlemen are still in the loft, so keep those tweets coming and keep those calls coming in too. But after the break, we speak with M'lani Bosson, an inspiring woman who uses horses to help emotionally and physically to heal traumatized children. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express. Now, today, First for Women Insurance is continuing the First SA Women series through Afternoon Express, where we celebrate, admire, and learn from a number of fantastic South African women. Now, today we're going to chat to trauma counsellor and founder of the Amadu Animal Assisted Therapy Centre, M'lani Bosson, who, through her knowledge of equine therapy, helps physically and emotionally traumatized and special needs children heal through contact through horses. Now, she's received numerous awards for her service to society, including the National Jet Community Award and the Rotary Merit Award of Service rendered to humankind on behalf of First for Women Insurance. Welcome, M'lani.
Thank you.
How fantastic. I mean, what beautiful work you do. But equine therapy isn't something that's very popular in South Africa. What made you decide to form Amadu?
I have had unbelievable support in my life through my family and through where we live. I've just had such a full and vibrant life, and I've just wanted to give it back. I've been riding since I was 3 years old. The psychology came with the parcel, with working with lots of children. And I wanted to give back. We have such a beautiful place, as you can see on the monitors. I'm looking at it now.
Oh,
and
this is amazing.
we just wanted to give it back. And I think for my parents as well, they gave me every single opportunity that I've ever had. And there are places that people can go to with money to get this sort of therapy. But the need is so great, and the therapy works.
Okay, well, before we get to the need, let's start with the actual therapy.
Yes.
I mean, we all love animals, and the feeling we get when we see a beautiful puppy or a gorgeous kitten, we know what that gives it to us.
Yes.
But how is equine therapy different? Because this is actually a reputable form of therapy for children.
Yes. Well, it works on two levels, the physical level and then the emotional level.
Yeah.
On the physical level, core strengthening, core. You know, the core strengthening is very important.
Just from being able to sit on a horse.
And then a horse has a three-dimensional gait similar to the way that a human walks.
Okay.
So it mimics the walk. So if you're paralyzed from the waist down and you're on the horse, then that would mimic your actual walk.
Oh, wow.
And then on the emotional level, I mean, every story that I have is a miracle story. But what I would like to share with you is just abused children who are being abused daily, and they say stop so many times and no one listens, but then they give up, except when on horseback, and they whisper stop, and this 450 kilogram Frisian mare stops dead in her tracks.
Wow.
So for the first time someone has listened.
They get their power back, I
You get your
suppose.
power back, you get your self-confidence up there, and what do you do when you're at home and you're in that situation again? You say stop, and someone does listen. So on an emotional level, this 450 kilogram teddy bear is he's teaching children again that stop means no.
Wow. Now, this is obviously all for charity. I mean, this isn't a government-funded or any way funded business. I mean, this you all rely on donations.
We do. We rely on people like yourselves who donate monthly. We do get a grant from the department, but the deficit is big. So I do also have a private practice just to subsidize the earnings that we need to keep it going. And then also My School cards. You can apply for a My School card for a Madu as beneficiary, and that goes a long way, and it doesn't cost you a cent. Look at the horses being washed.
Amazing. They are such special animals.
Sweet.
And who qualifies for this equine therapy?
I see a mixed bag. I work with different centres in and around in my valley, but I work a lot with children suffering from cerebral palsy, and we use the horse as a stretching mechanism because my Frisian mare, she's got a very big bum, and they lie on her like a sofa. And when you put them on, they're all contorted, literally like this, and it is like a lotus flower. After 5 minutes on the horse, you see the little hands opening, and then you see the body just stretching out. And I'm going to say this on TV, but there's a lot of farting because of the relaxation of the muscles. And I know if there's a fart, I've done my job. So that's basically how we get them to just relax on horseback, and that goes further. That goes to their houses, that goes to their communities. That being able to stretch out really does work physical wonders.
And about the age gaps, I mean, how old can you be for this kind of therapy?
My youngest is 3, and my eldest is actually a 65-year-old suffering from dementia, who we've got in the program as well. Yes.
Thank you so much for chatting to us. It's
a
really,
huge
really
pleasure.
incredible. M'lani, we salute you, and so does First for Women Insurance. A medical query, a concern, or emergency is no small thing, which is why First for Women celebrates and empowers South African women through its insurance products and benefits. That's why medical benefits have been included with your First for Women car and home insurance policies. Put your mind at ease knowing that medical assist, nurse at first, exposure, trauma assist, and even pet cover for your furry loved ones, their family too, are available to call on when you need them. So for more information on the benefits you get from First for Women, visit firstforwomen.co.za, or for an insurance quote from First for Women, call 0861 11 18 44 or SMS FIRST to 49267, and they'll call you right back. Right now, though, the ladies are busy with my food that I've been slaving with all day.
You did such a good job. Thank you so much, Jeannie. Thank you so much to M'lani, of course, amazing work. And of course, thank you to our incredible guest this afternoon, Jonathan and Ivor. I learned so much when it comes to hydraulic fracturing, aka fracking. So, gentlemen, thank you very, very much. If you want to, continue the conversation, join us on Facebook, join us on Twitter, check out our website, afternoonexpress.co.za. From all of us, we're back again tomorrow at 4 p.m. right here on SABC3. Have a wonderful Tuesday evening. Mwah!
Good night.
Tomorrow on Afternoon Express, with the large number of girls missing school due to lack of sanitary pads, we chat to representatives of the organizations that are making a positive difference with regards to affordable and accessible solutions for schoolgirls.
Another feel-good production.